Thank you all for joining us for the Managing Conflicts or Concerns in Mentor-Mentee Relationships workshop. Joining us today is Dr. Levent Atici, PhD, Executive Director of Undergraduate Research. They're going to discuss the roles and responsibilities of mentor and mentee relationships and teach communication skills that will be key to successfully working through conflicts or concerns. I'm going to hand it over to you, Dr. Atici. Thank you.
My slides, and can you hear me clearly? Can you see me? All right, let me just logistics. All right, thank you, Carly, and thank you to all the colleagues over across the street in the Graduate College. I'm very pleased to be here with you this afternoon. Thanks for also choosing to spend your afternoon with us, joining this rather important conversation dialogue. And again, it's all going to be about relationships, conversations, and communication. My name is Levent Atici. I'm the Executive Director of the UNLV's Office of Undergraduate Research and also a Professor of Anthropology. I'm coming to you from a very friendly office with 4 professional staff. We're the campus shop for everything undergraduate research, a very friendly, compassionate, passionate, small team dedicated to advancing undergraduate research education campus on our campus. And obviously, as always, I would like to acknowledge my colleagues in the Office of Undergraduate Research, our program manager, Dr. Rafael Ogenesian, our program coordinator, Ms. Susan Hull, and our research advising and communication specialist, Ms. Kira Train. So today, we'll kind of unpack everything related to mentors and mentees, look at their mentor and mentee roles and responsibilities, learn some strategies to manage goals, expectations, and meetings with respect to your professional relationship with your mentor, and think about several, communication, maybe strategies to first avoid and prevent conflict. But if it arises, and unfortunately, it occasionally arises, right, between mentors and mentees, so you'll have some tools to utilize. We'll also identify best mentee practices. And again, with regards to my credentials, if you're wondering, what is it that makes me, a credible source for these kind of conversations? First and foremost, I was a graduate student for a very long time. So I'm a native of Turkey, at the country. So I had my BA, MA, and almost like a PhD degree in Turkey. So I was a graduate student, international graduate student in a foreign country. Then in 2001, just 1 semester away from my PhD degree conferral, Harvard University offered me a 6-year full scholarship. So without blinking, I just pulled the trigger, just left everything behind and moved to this country and reset the clock. And again, had my second round of MA degree and then PhD degree in anthropology from Harvard University. So I'm a professor of anthropology too. So in that sense, as a man, as an international scholar, as a foreign national, going through all the visa statuses and issues, right? I was in graduate students' shoes for a long time. Then I moved to I moved to UNLV in 2007 as a faculty tenure track assistant professor, and I moved to the opposite side of the fence and became a mentor. And I've had my own graduate students, and I've had very successful experiences. Some of my graduate students right now, one graduate student I co-chaired is a tenure track faculty mentor in a university in the United States. And another PhD student I've had graduated successfully, and she has a full-time job with the Army Corps, living in Seattle, doing really well. And I also have another PhD student who's supposed to finish this fall. And I also served as undergraduate coordinator and graduate coordinator in the Department of Anthropology. So I'll combine all of my experiences to just give you my, share my experience and knowledge with you in this very important domain. First and foremost, let's just have some, house cleaning and just take care of some of the semantics or taxonomies, because over the course of your studies as a graduate student, as a master's student or PhD student, you'll interact with manifold academic and administrative personalities, right? You have academic or faculty advisors, you'll work with department chairs, you'll work with dissertation committees, members, and you'll work with dissertation committee chairs, and you may also land a job as a teaching assistant or graduate assistant, and you may also work with faculty who may serve in a supervisory capacity. So in that sense, your relationships with your advisors and mentors will also come in so many different forms. It's a very complex, heterogeneous realm, and you'll need to navigate this complex ecosystem, understand all the requirements, and just survive these. So academic or faculty advisors, they will usually help you understand your domain-specific degree requirements, right? Departmental policies, deadlines, milestones, as well as institutional culture, departmental culture, professional norms, etiquette in your department, but also in your discipline, right? Like, for example, I will use anthropology department as an example because I was a resident professor in the anthropology department. See, anthropology as a discipline has its own culture and norms and etiquettes, but UNLV's Department of Anthropology has its own identity, right? Why? Because it's a unique experience here with its corpus of faculty, right? These are all specific individuals, and current graduate students, past graduate students. So that's a kind of very kind of fluid identity, right? Institutions and departments, they have identities, and those identities may evolve and change over time, right? So in that sense, it's important for you to just navigate this, right, part of your journey, understand your department and your discipline. Then understand that you'll be assigned an academic dissertation committee chaired by a professor or your primary advisor, and then you will also have external members on your committee, a graduate student representative. So in that sense, you'll work with all of these people, okay? So these are usually going to work with you in an advisory capacity. So when we talk about mentor, however, the story changes a little bit, because it's again your relationship with all the other, right, advisor, chairs, department chairs, etc. It's more formalized, like all rules and regulations, and mostly within the professional domain, right? But when you move to the mentor landscape, that more formal relationship with also may, right, or will move to also expand into the personal domain, because a mentor takes an interest in you as a human being, right, to help you with your career, to help you with your professional development, and to also help you with your personal well-being, life and work balance and everything, right? Again, it's not only academic, but also personal. Mentor will be also, or maybe should be ideally available emotionally to also discuss more issues with you, which may not necessarily be professional or academic, right? Because I mean, if you're going through like a very tough stretch with stress and having hard time managing that stress, you have issues in your family or health issues, etc., right? So they're not academic, but they're personal, and then you should feel comfortable to share this information with someone, and that person might be your mentor. So mentors are usually committed to advancing your career in light of what you envision, right? So you direct this process, right? Because if you sit down with your mentor and have a conversation, and if you express an interest in going into the A direction or B direction, your mentor is not going to twist your arm to just turn you around, right? Your mentor is going to work with you to help you just go into that direction, right? Because that's what you want. So mentors also, this is really important, and that's why I emphasize it. Like, I'm a man, I'm international, right? And again, so your culture, your ethnicity, your gender, your identity, right? Your politics, your individual experience, your socioeconomic status, all of these individual attributes may also impact, and your attributes and your mentor's attributes will also impact your relationship, right? The relationship between mentor and mentee. So in that sense, a good mentor will be able to tailor the mentoring style, right, to cater to you, right? But we also understand that, not all of your needs will be met by one mentor. So we'll talk about that too. So what does a mentor do? What are the benefits having a mentor? So mentors and mentees form a long-term relationship, and it's a two-way street. It's mutually beneficial, right? And you have to understand that, right? Your mentor as a human being, as an individual, as an academic will also want to benefit from this mentor-mentee relationship. So there's growing for both. And remember, I told you that, I finished up in 2007. I came here, and see that transition from being a graduate student to being a mentor to mentor graduate students. That is a very hard one. And I'm going to be honest with you about this. Like, my first student, right, and then my second student, and my relationships with them, right, there was a learning curve for them and also for me, because, I was also negotiating multiple moving targets, like, how am I going to get tenured? How am I going to start my field work? How am I going to start my research lab here on this campus? How I will establish myself as a good teacher in, the department on this campus. So in that sense, having a just fresh mentor, right, still going through the transition will also impact your experience. So consider that as an important aspect too, okay? But it's a long-term relationship. So I still pick the phone to talk to my mentor. I pick the phone, and sometimes when I find myself in situations where I'm not 100% sure or very confident what to do, I pick the phone and I say, like, hey, Richard, how have you been? How are you doing? Here's what I, dealing with, and kind of, I'm not sure, what approach I should take. So would you be willing to just help? And he's always there for me. I know that, he's been there for me, and he will be there for me, because that's the spirit of having a mentor-mentee relationship. So mentors also model, they're role models for you. They model for you best practices, right? In research, in teaching, in service, in professional conduct, in ethical conduct, in publication, fundraising, managing others, running labs, running field projects, teaching, right? So you watch your mentor, you learn from them, you copy them, and then that's how you find your own voice. That's how you find your own color. That's how you actually form your own style of mentoring, right? And it's a process. Again, I would like to emphasize, this is a process. Good mentors, best mentors, they take the time to learn their mentees, right? So that there should be an ongoing dialogue on an individual basis with just an interest to know this person better, so that you can actually you're better able to help or tailor your approach toward that person. And again, mentors usually establish effective, establish and maintain effective communication, which is key, and it's going to be the recurring theme here: communication, communication, communication. And I like this saying, like, being clear is being kind, right? So not only effective communication, but also clear communication, right? Set the expectations, set the shared expectations, shared agendas, shared policies, and communicate them clearly, so you're on the same page. So this is to also tell you that when you interact with faculty, and if you don't have a mentor, just watch for some of these signs and best practices. Because if you can, I'm sure you may be just running some of these and saying like, check, check, check. Oh no, my mentor doesn't do this, or I'm considering this professor, but I've never seen him or her do that. Just use it as a template, okay, mental template. And your mentor is supposed to demystify graduate school. Your mentor is supposed to demystify research. Your mentor is supposed to demystify the job search project for you, right? So that you understand what it takes to get there, whatever your goals are. Because many aspects of academics are vague, unwritten, or intangible, right? Tangibles are clear. We talked about it, right? Because your academic advisors, department people, they'll talk to you about, and they're also on graduate school, graduate college websites, web pages, departmental web pages. Go to Department of Anthropology website, go to graduate program, look, you'll find all the tangibles, right? How many credit, how many are, all the milestones, right, toward degree completion. It's fine. You'll be fine there. But then there are a lot of intangibles, right? Norms, cultural issues, expectations. They're vague, and they're not necessarily unwritten, or not every mentor will take the time to talk to you about these. So in that sense, it is very important. Mentors also facilitate professional development of their mentees by means of helping them network, right? Because, especially if you're a senior person, you have so much social, political, and academic capital and gravitas in your field, right? You've published, you've written grants, you've got grants, you've attended so many international, national conferences, presented. So you have established your own network, right? Professional network. So good mentors actually have their students tap into their own network. And that will come really handy because, when you run for, say, student organization, when you run for an honorific society, or if you want to join say, research group, you'll need your mentor to pick the phone, or, put good words, or, email someone to just help you with just, just getting into the field, get started. And equally important, mentors will help you manage stress. Graduate school is stressful. Okay, that's our fact, right? It's stressful, especially for non-traditional students, especially for married students, students who are married and who have kids, right? International students. And again, I can just vouch all those because, I was an international student. I moved here, and I, had a spouse, and we were international. She didn't have a work visa. She couldn't work. We had a hard time, right? Just aligning everything. She didn't have health insurance. That was really stressful for me. Then we got pregnant. Then we had a baby. And I had to finish my degree, complete my degree, and I had to find a job. So I'm with you. I see you. I hear you. It is not easy. Okay. But again, that's why you have a mentor. And I can tell you that, I'm really lucky. I consider myself really lucky and privileged because my mentor was there when I told him that, we were pregnant. He was like, what? What are we going to do? What are we going to do, right? Then you need now healthcare. The baby is going to need this, right? So in that sense, it was really helpful to have someone in my corner to tell me that it was going to be okay, to help me, to support me. So that's why it's important. So how many mentors do you have, or is that a monogamous relationship? The answer is no. So mentor-mentee relationship is not a monogamous relationship. You're not supposed to have one mentor and stick with that mentor for for your entire academic life, or for your life, right? Again, each student is unique, right? With unique goals, needs, styles, and pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, right? As each mentee is different, each mentor will be different. They'll have different styles. They'll have different strengths, right? And they'll be in different career stages to help you And again, not each mentor will be also equally gifted, say in networking or in other domains. So there's why we have this. I really like this concept of mentoring up, mentoring down, and mentoring across. So this actually data show you that, so these individuals can serve in a mentoring role or capacity. Faculty members, undergraduate students, graduate students, staff members, librarians, postdoctoral scholars, community partners, lab managers, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, we're not talking about formal, right? An undergraduate student cannot be a formal mentor, or another peer graduate students cannot be a mentor formally. But that's why I'm trying to emphasize, that's why I emphasize mentorship is more informal than academic advisor or dissertation committee, dissertation advisor, dissertation chair. So you can actually learn from everybody. That's why we talk about mentoring up, down, and across. And we have research showing that very few individual mentors were able to meet all of the mentees' needs in all areas. And there's research by Ballantyne and Jola Ballantyne, 2015. You can see the link here. They actually identify three domains, or three areas of mentoring needs for mentees, right? Instrumental or task-specific mentoring, psychosocial mentoring, and networking, right? So in that sense, your mentor may be gifted in terms of helping you with your psychosocial needs or networking needs, but not the instrumental task, or vice versa. So always consider identifying a team of mentors to get the full range of support. You need to be successful. And having multiple mentors will also give you multiple viewpoints, right? You'll have access to information from a wide range of academic professionals with diverse background, diverse experience levels. And then, you'll also have multiple sources of fresh ideas, strategies, and methodologies. Like, for example, my mentor was senior when I was a graduate student, and he wasn't very, very helpful with, say, when I showed him my CV, he showed me his own CV, and I just realized that his CV still showed, like, social security number, home address, nationality, passport, number of children, etc. And back in the maybe 50s, 60s, that was the norm. So don't judge, but I just realized that, okay, I'm just going to go to a junior person to get help. And I just went to a brand new assistant professor who had just navigated that process of job search and landed a job. So that person was very helpful in terms of my professional documents, such as cover letters, say application letters, funding application letters, CVs, etc. And of course, also always reach out for other resources such as these offices of career service, etc. So in that sense, again, finding multiple mentors, go the move. But your mentoring team should not be just duplicates, right? So you shouldn't find 4 people with the same wavelength and with same worldview, perspective, same methodological alignment, and same skill set. Then what's the point, right? So your mentors should complement one another, right? So it is most beneficial to you to have these. And it's also important, like, I can tell you from my own experience that, when people change careers and they move to a different school, or, or if they retire, right? Then, and if you only have like one mentor, then you'll be an orphan. So in that sense, it is a good idea to have multiple mentors, and you can actually make the transition. So again, before more specifically talking about finding a mentor or working with a mentor, I want you to understand faculty roles and responsibilities, because I always hear people, I'm now on the other side of the fence. I'm an administrative faculty, and I always hear, talks about like academic faculty, right? There's this academic faculty versus administrative faculty. And sometimes I just feel that some of the characterizations of academic faculty are not fair. Because here are roles and responsibilities. And this is 99% of the time, this is true. So this is not just like only, this doesn't apply to a few professors. Most professors will be in this boat. So faculty, they teach undergraduate and graduate courses. They advise undergraduate and graduate students. They serve on master's, thesis, and dissertation committees in varying roles, from being a member to chair. Right? They conduct research. They work on creative process projects, research projects, and other projects. They write grant proposals. They write books. They write research articles they have to publish. Right? They also review the work of students, but they also serve their professional field, say as an editor or as an external reviewer, review the work of others, right? They serve on departmental committees, college committees, university committees, also professional, they also serve their profession, like professional organizations. And if you talk about junior faculty, you also have to add the stress of preparing for tenure review, establishing, right, research agendas, teaching loads, and also recruiting graduate students, right? So in that sense, there are added stresses. And if they become more senior, and I can speak to that because I was tenured in 2013 and I was promoted to full professor in 2020, just more recently, because you're more established, you receive more requests for reviewing of grants, books, textbooks, research articles, right? You serve on so many students' committees. So demand for senior faculty's time will only increase. So in that sense, don't think that, well, once you're tenured, you're off the hook and then your life gets easy. No, it actually just gets worse, just so you know what you're getting into, okay? So you should also, so you should think about all of these. You should think about personality. You should think about chemistry. You should think about style. Again, you should think about identity and all the politics around it, right? And also think about mentors as human beings, right? Because they also have their own work-life balance. They may be going through like a time, of course, I'm not suggesting you go and ask them, like, professor, are you expecting to right, just expand your family, right? You can't ask those questions, but it may happen that the professor you're in the process of considering as your mentor, right, is expecting, and then will be on say maternity leave or paternity leave, right, for 1 year or for I wish, right, not of course 1 year, but for some time, or going on a sabbatical for 1 year, or going to a trip, international trip for a project, field work, or exchange program. So these things are typical in academia. So in that sense, and this shouldn't deter you, or this shouldn't be like, okay, game stopper, oh, this professor is going to be on sabbatical, so no. But just have that conversation to understand if the professor can still be able to support you during some critical milestones, such as defending your, taking your comps, or defending your prospectus and things like that, right? So if the answer is yes, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it, and or we're going to have an alternative schedule. So I'll still meet with you virtually, like via WebEx. That's good. But I know from my previous experience as a graduate student that accessibility is a big deal. And again, and of course, I went to Harvard, and most of the faculty there, they were like superstars and celebrities, and they were very scarce, right? It was impossible for many students to schedule an appointment with their mentor. So in that sense, I remember seeing a lot of students just leave because, what's the point if you don't have a mentor, and if you cannot talk to your mentor and you're on your own, right? Because that's graduate school, right? It's not undergraduate, it's graduate school. It's based on this traditional apprentice model, right? Mentor-mentee relationship. So who should be your mentor? First, have this conversation with yourself. What are my objectives in considering graduate school? What type of training do I need? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What skills do I need to develop? What kinds of research or creative projects will engage me? How much independent versus hands-on or guided projects do I want to explore? What type of careers might I want to pursue, right? And where are the desired resources and information are located? These are really important questions. Be honest and have this conversation. Also, is your mentor right for you? But I also put here to just remind you, it's a two-way street. As you are considering a mentor as potential your mentor, mentors will also consider you as a potential mentee, and they will also ask the same questions. Is this student right for me, right? Do I have the time to be fully present and available for my mentee, right? That's the mentor's question. And you would be asking the same question differently. Do I have the time to meet my mentor's expectations and level of engagement, right? Emotional availability is also important. Do I feel comfortable being emotionally available for offering counsel about life events? That's the mentor's question. And your question, do I feel comfortable opening up to my mentor about my non-academic problems, right? So, but understand, this is not a social relationship. This is not like a country club, because your priority should be what you need from your mentor. That is, again, your professional development, right? Because I always put it bluntly, you don't have to like or love your mentor like personally. It is okay, if you're not butterflies around each other, right? Because it's a professional relationship, right? It's a professional relationship. As long as the relationship based on mutual respect, understanding, shared expectation, and support, that relation can still work. You're not picking your BFF. Okay, just understand. And again, the same framework Ballantyne and Jolie Ballantyne outlined, right? Psychosocial, instrumental task, and networking competencies of your potential mentor. You should gauge these more specifically and prioritize. Not like, is my mentor cool, right? Or can we talk about like rock and roll? Can we talk about just other stuff and have fun? That's not the goal, right? The goal is, can your mentor support you in these specific domains, right? And other things to consider, just do your research, talk to other graduate students in the program. Does the mentor have a good reputation within the field, within the department? Is the mentor still productive and contributing to the field? For example, for the past 3 years, I've been in this capacity, right, as an administrative faculty, and I haven't been doing field work. I mean, I still have publications, etc., but I'm not 100% academically oriented. I am 100% administratively oriented right now, right? So students must ask themselves, like, oh, yeah, is Dr. Atisi still the best option for me, because now he's not in the anthropology department as a resident faculty, even though he's the expert in the field, but is he still the best option for me, right? Why? Because again, am I still going to the conferences? I haven't been going to the conference for the past 2 years. See, I mean, again, I'm just going to be very honest and to illustrate my point. So can the mentor, also really important, can the mentor provide teaching and research opportunities? If you're doing field work, like for example, the student that I mentored and who is tenure track faculty in Idaho right now, I was able to actually bring her into my fieldwork in Turkey and connect her with my established networking, right? With a very sound infrastructure, all the permissions, and she just launched her career right there. And I just stopped working with those groups in Turkey, but she's been continuing. See, I mean, that's the one thing that I just provided her with. I just gave her research opportunities, funding opportunities, access to fieldwork collections, and she also wrote her dissertation on materials from my site. See, that was my contribution to that graduate students' formation, right? Access to funding, facilities, and other key resources. And those will facilitate and accelerate your professional development. And also, it's another thing, like many departments have this, look at the department's history of placements, right? Do students complete degrees, right? And then look at like former PhD students or departmental column, right? To see whether people just go to this department, they graduate timely, and they find jobs. That's a very good sign, right? If the department has a history of placement, completion and placement, that's a great environment for you. So what are mentors looking for in a mentee? Mutual interest, right? Because they want to see that, you know, there's this overlap, right? In terms of academic professional experiences and expectations. Like, for example, I'm studying, say, I'm an anthropologically trained archaeologist, and my research has to do with the study of animal bones excavated from archaeological sites to understand human-animal interactions through time, with a special emphasis on domestication of animals. So if your research interests are not even remotely overlapping with part of my research interest, so that's, to me, that's a fail, because we're not mutually interested in the same academic or professional, right, or intellectual zone. We're not in the same zone, right? You want to study, say, the history of religions, but I'm studying history of human-animal interactions. See, I mean, I don't think there's anything mutual here. So compatible working style, right? And again, I'm not saying that, you know, you should be looking for your identical twin, but compatibility, chemistry, in professionally speaking, it's important, right? So, because again, like, for example, I want students who are movers, who are doers, right? Who are also self-reliant, right? Independent, who can come up with their own questions, who can identify their own research agendas, and who can do stuff with my support, of course, right? So in that sense, that's what I mean by compatible. But if there's a student who is not independent, who's not self-sufficient, who needs a lot of hand-holding and direction and guidance for everything, see, that relationship may not work because the working styles are not compatible. So in that sense, this is important. Motivation and direction, initiative, being proactive, right? Attending, you know, events in your department, in your field, seminars, attending professional meetings, networking. These are going to indicate that, you know, you're actually a proactive mentee. Again, professionalism, collaboration, and also identifying and respecting boundaries, right? It's very important for students to be mentees to be professional. So, you know, no drama, work with others, be a good team member when it comes to working with others, and also resist the temptation to see your professor as your buddy, right? Again, you're not here to socialize with your mentors. I mean, if that relationship develops and if you also become friends through time, that's fine, but that should not be your initial inclination, okay? Let it play out organically. Skills and strengths, right? Demonstrate readiness with your research abilities, your writing skills, analytical skills, computing skills, and most importantly, your eagerness to learn new things and your coachability. Very important. Responsibility and accountability. It's your responsibility. Understand. This is also what I always tell students, and many professors would repeat this. Look, I'm doing well. What do you mean? You know, I went through the same hoops, jumped through the same hoops. Like, I finished, I completed my degree, I earned my degree, I landed a tenure track job, I got tenured, I got promoted. Now I'm a full professor. Things are working for me. So I'm not going to go out of my way to help you. Okay. So it is your responsibility, right? Because it's your career, your life, your professional development, right? So it's your responsibility to be in the driving seat, and it's my responsibility to support you, to help you get there. But don't expect your mentors to drive the entire process. Don't expect them to tell you, like, do this, do that. Don't expect them to remind you deadlines. Don't expect them to just remind you, or, you know, there's this funding application, right? I saw it. There was an email. You've received the same email. Why don't you consider applying, right? Just take ownership. This is your life. This is your career. So best mentors do. Practice active and deep listening. Take the time to know their mentees. review their mentees' performance, and create or recreate, adjust plans to make it more doable and reasonable, agreeable to your career stage. So it's all about setting attainable goals. Build trust and give timely feedback and constructive feedback, right? Being clear is kind again. Check in with their mentees to show their commitment. Connect them to powerful people. Offer, again, encouragement. Celebrate small wins. Success is the accumulation of small victories. Patient accumulation of small victories over time. Again, tell stories, share anecdotes to offer insight into intangibles. So, developing shared expectations. I think now we're going to talk about important things toward having solutions, right? So if you actually do some of these things, you will most likely avoid unwanted, undesired, and unnecessary conflicts or hard conversations. Okay. Again, clear communications from the onset is key. Okay. Establish how frequently and regularly you will meet with your mentor. Okay. So set it and calendar it and identify milestones, right? With attainable near-term, intermediate term, and long-term goals and a time frame to achieve these goals. And again, feedback. Ask and provide feedback and be clear and specific. And then also have a conversation, clear and explicit conversation about standards, norms, and deliverables. For example, if there's a publication, right, are you going to have an authorship role? Or better, you're expected to publish. So some, again, help for you to establish, seek or and establish expectations and just create this communicative framework for communication. So how and in what form can you expect to receive an assessment of your general progress? So you should actually feel free to ask these questions to your mentor, okay? Explicitly. Like, okay, professor, I'm not sure how we're going to do this. Could you please just help me understand in what form I should expect to receive feedback from you about my progress, right? And how often, what form are we going to meet face-to-face, or are you going to give me feedback via email? Is it going to be formal? Is it going to be informal? Or is it going to be ad hoc or as needed, right, as things progress, okay? So also you can ask, like, what is the normal workload? Okay, what's the expectation? Because, some professors, some mentors may tell you, I expect you to do this, right? Or work in the lab this many hours, right? Or just they may have a very clear expectation and they may be demanding. So you should ask, okay, what is the expectation? Then also another question that you should ask, what professional development activities does your advisor, dissertation chair, or mentor expect you to participate in? Like, are you expected to attend professional conferences in your field, like national or international, right? Just ask these questions. If yes, like semesterly or annual, then also whether there are any departmental funds or support or university support. But if I were you, I would actually first do my research before I ask, because you don't want to ask all these questions to your mentor, right? Especially the logistical questions. I mean, there's you have department chair, you have graduate coordinator, you have your department will have a scholarship committee and a chair. You may ask your department's professional staff, right? You may ask other graduate students. Then you may also check with graduate school, right? Graduate college, and see what kind of resources they have. So don't just also bother your mentor with a barrage of questions that can be answered easily by others. Okay, then when requesting a reference, what information does your advisor chair need? How much lead time do this? You don't want to do this. And again, this happens a lot. There's an application deadline, and then you just realize that it's this Thursday and it's Monday, right? And then you wait until Tuesday morning and you shoot an email to your chair saying like, hi, Dr. ATC, it just turns out that there's this application I want to apply. And the deadline for you to submit a recommendation letter is this Thursday. What is today? It's Tuesday. See, I mean, of course, if that's a one-time thing, yeah, they'll understand, they'll help, but please don't get into the habit of just catching them on short notice. Always, this is the rule of thumb. Always just think like 2 weeks, right? Should be the way. But your professor may be different, and he or she may tell you that hey, I need at least a month. Give me a month, right? If you need a letter from me, I'm busy. Especially if it's say if they're writing a manuscript or applying for a grant, they're really busy. That's not the best time. But again, ask what's your preference, right? And also ask this question, like when you're too busy, like working on an essay or a grant, how should I remind you about like something that you have for me or you have to do for me? Should I email you? Should I call you? Should I stop by your office? Or how much time do you need for me to send you a reminder? And again, is 1 week enough, or do you prefer 2? See, I mean, if you have these conversations during the initial stage of your relationship building, you will actually, so these are all preventive, right? So it's like just doing all the right things, healthy things to stay healthy, so you don't have to go to see, you don't need a doctor's visits, right? It's the same thing. If you do all of these things, you're not going to need to sit down in an office with the graduate coordinator to figure out how can you now undo the damage, because you had a lot of problems, and maybe all of those problems stem from these minor issues. But again, through time, those minor issues will turn into major issues. So also, some professors, they assume that whatever you publish will bear their name. They will have authorship roles. Okay, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but each professor, each mentor is different. So understand what's their style. Okay, if that's the case, then you know what you're supposed to do. But don't assume. Have these conversations, right? So what are the guidelines for authorship, for conference presentations, right? For publications. Again, best mentee practices. Clarify what you need, right? It's a two-way street, and sometimes you assume that things will work out, but they may not. So in that sense, if things are not working for you, if the relationship is not conducive for you to be successful or productive, it's time for you to have that conversation and then be very clear. And again, if you choose your mentor wisely, that's the first step, right? Finding the one is the first step. And again, having a superstar mentor, like really successful faculty, people who are at the top of their field, does not necessarily guarantee that you're going to have the ideal mentor and you're going to have a great experience. Okay, just understand. So always under promise and over deliver, because students always do this. Like, I'm going to get you 3 chapters in 2 weeks, and then none, right? That's terrible. Right? Just say, I will do my best to get you 1 chapter, and get that 1 chapter. Okay. If you cannot, just then don't promise, because if you keep doing it, then that's going to be a pattern, and your mentor is going to think, I mean, you're going to lose your credibility, because your mentor will think that, you always say that. And again, within the past 3 years, you always told me that you would get me this, and I know how it goes, right? So don't have that reputation. Don't have that stick with your name, right? Levent, never mind. Don't, again, he says that, but he doesn't do it. So don't do that. Do the opposite. I'll have a first draft to you in 3 weeks, then go, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but I already have the draft. See, and that is going to be a different reaction. Like, wow, okay, great, thank you. And also don't compromise on the quality for the sake of meeting deadlines, okay? Mind your mentor's time. I just gave you that slide, right? They do a lot of stuff, okay? And they manage their time wisely. That's how they're successful. They multitask, right? So respect their time, give them enough time to review your work, to get back to you with feedback, okay? And if you're going to have a meeting with your faculty, don't just go for a random chatter. Have your questions, okay? Have specific questions. Identify what do I need, right? What are the expected goals after this meeting, and then get it, okay? And then in emails, avoid the longer stuff. Just write answerable, quick questions and reserve the other stuff for face-to-face meetings. Mentor up, again, help your mentor guide you. See the red flag. If there are warning signs, do the right thing, right? If there's any sort of mentor malpractice, that's a different problem, and I'll just address in the next slide. Avoid missteps. One thing that students do a lot, they ghost on their mentor, right? When things go tough, they disappear 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then, you know, you're just wondering, like, what is happening, right? What is happening? Just don't do that, okay? Maintain communication, and then if you're going through hardship, stressful time, just communicate that. And the last point is really important. Don't be defensive, okay? Don't be defensive. Accept criticism and feedback in a professional manner. Remember, your mentor took the time to read your paper, and it's not, if there are negative feedback, that's not about your personality. That's not, they're not criticizing you. They're just giving you feedback on the piece you submitted. That's writing. Thank them, express your appreciation. But if you really disagree, it's fine, right? Don't be defensive. Don't react on the spot. Don't be hot-headed. Just take some time, think about it with cool head, then engage and still articulate your reasoning. It is really draining and time-consuming and emotionally overtaxing to deal with overly defensive graduate students, especially when you're trying to help them, right? So in that sense, remember, generosity goes far. Say thank you. So when conflicts occasionally arise, right, in a formal form or informal form, there are always recourses. Good news, right? Again, if the conflict is between students, their academic advisors, supervisors, chairs, dissertation chairs, it would be more formal. And with mentors, it would be more informal. Research shows that faculty do, in some cases, unfortunately, inappropriate behaviors, including disrespect towards student efforts, misappropriation of student work, sexual misconduct, harassment, bullying, whistleblowing, suppression, or directed research malfeasance. So in that sense, the first line of action should be always to talk with your mentor, right? Depending on how comfortable you're feeling to give them information and how much information. And then if it doesn't go anywhere, and if you feel, or else if you feel uncomfortable discussing the situation with your mentor, or if you feel that they're unhelpful, or if you feel that you're not able to make any progress, right, or they're engaging in inappropriate behavior, you should most definitely first talk to your department's graduate coordinator. This is very important. Don't go to graduate college. Don't email like college deans or graduate college deans, or don't involve just everybody, okay? First, go to your mentor if you can. If you can't, go to your graduate coordinator, and then your graduate coordinator may think of escalating it to your department chair, or they can collectively think that, you know, this is major, and they may think of escalating it to the graduate college, because the graduate college has grievance committees. But like I said, follow the chain of command and go through your departmental graduate coordinator first. Major issues, should be addressed immediately. Don't wait. And if there are minor issues, of course, you just don't want to directly go to your graduate coordinator or anybody else. You talk with your professor. So if things get worse, and if you find yourself in a situation where you are really stressed because it's not working, right? You find that the faculty member, your chair, your mentor, that person is no longer the best fit for you, or for a number of different reasons. And it may be just very legitimate, right? You have a change in your orientation, you have a change in your, say, disciplinary, methodological, theoretical orientation, or change your topic, and that's no longer that person's expertise, right? It's okay. It's stressful, but it's okay, right? But you have to be very professional during that transition. It is very, very important. So some basic guidelines. Seek the advice of your graduate coordinator first. Talk to your graduate coordinator. And then if your graduate coordinator gives you green light, talk to another trusted faculty member in a safe fashion to determine whether it is in fact the right move for you. Because, you may at the end find out that, this was an idea, I gave it a thought, I just probed it, but not necessarily the best course of action for me at this stage, right? So I'll just continue as is. So again, that's why you don't want to make a big splash or a big scene. Just first understand if changing your advisor is the best action on your end. Especially, you've been working with that person for like 5 years. Now you're ABD, all but dissertation, and you only have like 1 or 2 semesters. Really, is that the best idea, right? Maybe not. So clearly, professionally, and respectfully articulate to your advisor, have a conversation, have a meeting, and others too, why you would like to make this change, and make sure that, your reasons are not personal, but they are mostly professional. They keep it professional. And before finalizing the process, approach another fitting faculty and inquire about the prospect of that faculty serving you in a chair advisor capacity. Then if that's positive, move on, explain the situation to your chair, and be professional, and never badmouth, never trash talk, okay, about your former advisor. Do not burn bridges. It's not going to help you. So when you form a decision, inform your dissertation chair promptly, discuss and arrange a schedule, because if there are outstanding tasks, or like you have to complete a project, something, you have to clear the desk, take care of everything, and then move, okay? And make sure to stay in compliance with departmental guide regulations, and also graduate school, right? There are forms and paperwork, bureaucracy. Also make sure that you update all of your documents. So some constructive behaviors and destructive behaviors. And again, I think my approach is more preventive, right? Because it may be too late after you've found yourself in a hot mess, and especially if it is mostly avoidable or preventable, just do it, right? Just avoid. So cooperating, clarifying, inspiring, harmonizing, risk-taking, process checking. So these are all constructive behaviors for the good of the group, right? With a willingness to consider others' perspectives, willingness to work with others, willingness to consider their views and listening to them, right? Just prioritizing group cohesion, collaboration, right? With altruism. So these are all constructive behaviors. Especially if you're in a group setting, this may be destructive, right? If you have any, or if you see someone doing any of these behaviors, dominating, rushing, withdrawing, discounting, digressing, and blocking, right? So this will impede group progress. This will impede also individual progress, block, obstruct all ideas, suggestions, and success of everybody involved. So stay away from these behavior. And also, if mentees are not sure what to do, right, they may have passive or passive-aggressive behavior, including not expressing your feelings or thoughts, taking things personally, being anxious and defensive all the time, too sensitive, right? Letting others make all the choices for you and not often achieving your goals. So when you do these, right, it's going to maybe exacerbate your relationship with your mentor, because your mentor and others around you, right, they will feel guilty, they will feel like angry, and they will also achieve goals at your expense, and they will exclude you. So when that happens, you'll feel more hurt, humiliated, insulted, disrespected. You'll become more defensive, and then you will fail your goals. You're not going to meet deadlines. You're going to fail a lot of things. So good listening skills, good communication skills will come handy, right? When you are in a conversation, eye contact, right? Nodding to demonstrate attention, doing yes, yes, all right, understand, to also to encourage the continuity of the conversation, minimize distractions. This is my pet peeve. If I'm in a meeting and if I'm just talking with people, and if they cannot say goodbye to their phones, I mean, that's very disrespectful and very distracted. Don't do that. And do not do other tasks at the same time. Acknowledge others, emotions or other reactions. Do not interrupt unnecessarily. Ask questions if you don't understand. Do not take over and tell your own story. Repeat back the main points to show that you're listening, to convey empathy, and to actually reinforce collaboration. Say things like you seem to be saying. What I hear you saying is, right, what are you thinking about? I wonder if you're feeling because of this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but let me check if I have understood you correctly. You are correct, right? Then the questioning is also an important communication skills. Ask one question at a time. Look at the person when you ask a question. Be brief and clear. Ask questions that serve a purpose. Use questions to help the person to talk about their experiences and behaviors. Don't use questions to explore and understand issues and awareness. Ask questions, and do not ask questions simply to satisfy curiosity. So types of questions, close questions, right? Limiting the person to a yes, no answer. Do you feel supported in your department, right? And open questions, requiring more than one word answer, but also inviting extended conversations. How have you experienced support in your department? Or leading questions. You do have support in your department, don't you? I mean, these are some of the ideas to communicate more effectively. But to reiterate, I think the best defense is having these best practices, understanding your role, understanding mentor's role, understanding all of these dynamics, and just establishing clear channels for ongoing communication. And then if despite all of these, if things don't work, understanding that there's a recourse through your department's graduate coordinator. So that should be the first course of action. Then see if escalation of the problem to a higher office is necessary. But like I said, there's nothing you cannot resolve in most circumstances if you have this mindset, if you demystify this process and start practicing best practices early on. Now, any questions? I'm hoping that this has been helpful and useful. Harley, back to you.
Thank you so much. Before we end today's session, we would like to thank our presenter, Dr. Atisi, for sharing his time and expertise with us today, and thank you all for joining us. Before you log off, please take a few minutes to fill out the workshop feedback, the survey that I dropped in the chat. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you very much. That was very informative.
Thank you. Have a great day.